Yeah, well, strongly. Yeah, well, it is just striking 7 now, so can I welcome you all to the October meeting of the FES committee? I take it there are no apologies because everyone seems to be here. Are there any declarations of interest? No. Item 4, the minutes of the last meeting. Can someone either comment on them or move them as a correct record or not?
I'm happy to move the minutes as a correct reading.
I'll be seconded. Are there any comments on the minutes? No? All those in favour? Thank you. Public forum, there's no one here and no one's asked to speak, have they? No. Exclusion of the public just applies to 2 items at the end of the agenda, which is item 15 and 16, right at the end. Item 7, financial update. We can take A, B and C together if you wish. Anyone, any comment? Howard?
Summary or detail? Have a summary, yeah.
Starting renovating the benches, and again, I understand from Leah, can't remember her official title. They were starting, I think, probably last week, to do the benches up the big pathway up through the bandstand. Just keen that they keep on doing that. Now they've started. Now we're 4 months after they got the 5 months after they got the contract.
Yeah, me and Leah, contracts officer it is. Yeah, we went to see Multivo last week or the week before. They have been delayed in refurbing the benches, but they were also late in starting the bench contract as well. But they've only charged for what they've done, which is why we haven't spent as much as the budget that was there. But I can tell you, obviously now, Mark is back, our lensman, so he's come back now. So we've got, yes, we have 3 lensmen now. Mark is keen to get started on the benches. They did a really good job on the last ones that we did. So I think Leah's already given them 5, I think, to look at. So we will be getting quite a lot of progress with benches now.
I'm just keen that having got the contract, didn't know we'd got now an extra lensman back. Well, not an extra back a bit earlier than perhaps we thought at the time, which is good in both ways. It's good for him because it means that obviously he's doing perhaps better than was hoped at the beginning, and it means we have the extra body, presumably as well. Then, because another thing I talked to her about was a missing window pane out of one of the bush shelters. Presumably they could switch to that if needed, if whoever the contractor is did.
Although we have sort of made a decision to hold on getting any glass in the bush shelters because they do just get smashed.
But I think there comes a point when we've got to start. Glass can be got, or plastic, or whatever it is, that is more vandal proof. But I think, you know, particularly on the ones on the main line, the one that I particularly noticed was the one that's outside the British Legion. I think we do need to start replacing them before they, otherwise they'll just end up looking tattier and tattier. And we just need to, we can't give in to people that are smashing
I know,
the
but
glass.
bearing in mind that toughened glass is expensive. And when they do smash it, it's very hard to clean it up and make it safe. Which is a problem with maintenance. The plastic panels, they just pull out. So they're not no good either. So it's coming up with something that's not going to cost us a lot of money, and it's easier to maintain.
We could look, or we could ask what Barn Alswick put in there. I suppose it's their bus station, the big, because they had a lot of problems. But what they did, they kept replacing it, and so eventually it doesn't get damaged. We can't just say, oh, you know, toughened glass a bit more expensive and this. And there comes a point when we have to bite the bullet and start replacing them and keeping them in a I was going to say decent, maybe in a reasonable condition. And you know, winter's coming with panes missing. You know, it will just whip through them like a knife through butter, will the wind. So I think we just need to make sure that we try and at least keep on top of it, because that pane, I think, has been out for a while, and we've got to bite the bullet and do it. We can't. It's expensive, but you know, the people to address the expense to are the council taxpayers whose children are doing it. So if your council tax has gone up because we've had to put more money in to keep the bush shelters neat and tidy, so stop them wrecking.
But we can't actually put it up until next year. If you remember, this year budget was stripped right back.
Well,
and we
no,
don't have any
but there is
budget.
a budget there, so at least we should spend it until
There is a budget there, yeah, but probably not enough to replace glass panes.
it will replace at least one or two on the main line, if not every bus shelter.
Maybe one.
Well, no, I mean, I don't know how much we've got in bus shelters, right? We've got 19,000 quid in there. That's an awful lot of panes of glass, and you know, an awful lot of cleaning as well. So, you know, let's have a breakdown of how much it costs to replace.
Yeah, but the problem is all that's in the budget is for the grounds maintenance. There's no extra. Obviously, glass, replacing glass panes, etc., is on top of that.
But
So
what?
we haven't got much budget to do that. That's what I'm
So
saying.
you're saying that for them to clean the bus shelters, it's costing 19,000.
It's costing something along those lines.
Well, we got
If
a
you look
road.
at the detail, which is why you get the detail.
The bus shelters were a secondary thought that I just had. So
Yeah, so 15,600 of that budget is for cleaning.
So that still gives us,
Maintaining.
so that still gives, no, 19.
got
Well,
All of
we've spent,
£186 left in repairs and maintenance.
well, that doesn't add up.
Well, you've got inspections, you've got insurance, you've got
Oh,
sites.
all right,
notice
okay, all right,
boards.
all right. Well, what we need to do then is seriously look at that for this coming budget. Because otherwise, we're going to end up with even more costs that we've got to replace a bus shelter. And it costs more to replace a bus shelter than to slap a couple of windows, panes of glass in all windows.
Patricia,
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, I'm just looking at the neighbourhood plan on here, and it's the first two columns are 1,000. The third column, our actual spend is 2,648. And I'm just wondering,
We were expecting to get funding, but the funding window hadn't actually opened until a few weeks ago. I still haven't had a chance to put the application through yet, but hopefully we will get funding for that.
thank you.
Andy,
Yeah, I'd just like some clarification. I'm looking at column A, which is budget 1st of April 2023. And we've got 11 I've just looked through on the top. So you've got the budget in the column A. Column B says current budget, which then 11 have increased. Now, does this mean we're borrowing money from to top up that?
Yes, we are probably taking money out of reserves to pay for certain things that have come throughout the year.
But when I look at the actual spend commitments, it's not adding up to.
Well, if you think about the CCTV, there's 80, 90 grand worth of expenditure there that hasn't been spent yet, but
Yeah,
it was
but it's
committed.
earmarked.
So yeah, it's
Yeah. It's no.
if it's committed to something, we can't take it till we know
Yeah.
that obviously we no longer need it.
I mean, I'm looking at the first one, which was Alkin Colts, where it says like 95 as the budget. The next one, total budget, current budget of 98.7, but then the actual spend is 41. I'm trying to get my clarity, if you like, just to see what's happening.
It is I mean, from the budget, the agreed budget last year would have been done at December time.
Yeah.
And then obviously as things happen throughout the year, we have to tweak certain budgets depending on what happens, which is why I put the current budget in there, because obviously it can be a lot different to the start of the year budget.
Okay.
And then obviously you get your split between committed and actual.
Yep.
So that you know what if there's a lot committed that hasn't been spent, like such as this CCTV, but you can't take that money for anything else, if you know what I mean. So you need to know that it's committed.
All right, no worries. Thank you.
Brian, Michael,
when it's talking about CCTV commitments, does that include the money that might have to be spent on this server when it's replaced? That's in with that.
That's in that.
Yeah, this one's there.
is anyone else? Would someone like to move the report?
A couple of minor points. The allotment invoices went out Friday just gone, so that money will start feeding in shortly. And about 10 days ago, the allotment price increases went out. That's for October. 2024. So that's all covered off now. And we got the precept yesterday, didn't we?
Oh, yeah, we got his,
The next-
So
the payment, yeah,
Yeah.
payment 3 of the precept came in yesterday.
I'll move, Chair.
the seconded, those in favour? Thank you. And then,
Sorry, and just if people haven't noticed it, the neighbourhood plan was stamped, approved or whatever at Pendle Council's last meeting.
Yes.
yep. Item 8, notice of conclusion of audit 2022-23. Has anyone any comments on that? I think it's a relatively clean sheet again, isn't it? So,
Yes, yeah.
Does this have to go in the notice board like the,
The
Well, that
conclusion
was-
of audit does, yeah, which it is actually in the notice board.
it was
You will
question,
actually notice you have a new notice board. And it's moved slightly from one side to the other. So it's where the original notice board was, because it wasn't room on the other side.
two,
Oh, the two. All right, well, we couldn't
One or
fit
two
it on that side, so we put it on the other side. But yeah, it's got.
I've seen it, but not when it was screwed on, not since it's been screwed on the wall. Obviously Mark's back, you see, so he's,
Well, it was Gareth who actually put it on. Well, actually, I think it took 3 of them to put it up. It was windy at the time. Yeah.
what I think we ought to do now we've got another clean audit is to thank both Gina and Steve for keeping us on track again for another year. And I think we ought to formally thank them for it. Okay,
I think it's particularly the two that you mentioned, but also, you know, other people for,
well, yeah,
for I'll say trying to stick within the budget, but
now item 9, which is the 2024-25 first draft. I think it's fair to say that with other things that have been going on, and possibly with someone else off as well this week in the office, Gina's been struggling getting her head round it sufficiently well enough to present the report tonight. It's not far off, but at 6:45 she were still struggling with it. So what I'm going to suggest is the agenda at the end is slightly wrong, where it says the date and time of the next regular meeting is the 7th of November. In the diary, it's actually penciled in for the week before that, on the 31st. Mainly because there's an events meeting on the 7th. So if we move the events to the 7th, move FES to the 7th, we've got to move events, which will move onto the week when it's full council. So you've got to move full council as well. So it's easier to move FES back forward, which would mean we'd get the first draft in October, just about on the last day of the month. And if it takes more effort than what we're anticipating to get us heads around the budget in November, there are 2 Tuesdays at the end of the month, which is the 21st and the 28th, when there are no meetings on. And if need be, I suggest that we have an extra meeting if we need it, but that we bring the budget to the 21st, because I'd rather get the draft complete and nothing missed off it, rather than get a wrong steer by getting it tonight when it's not completed. And then
agree with that. I'm not sure how you bring it back forward, but
Well, you know what I mean, yeah, yeah, bring it back to where it was, yes.
Yeah, just what a bit of clarification on, you know, I know you're saying you're setting the budget. Have we actually been set what our budget's going to be from Pendle Borough? Or is this what we're estimating it's going to be?
We set our budget first and we request the precept based on our budget.
Right, I didn't know if it was, they say.
The other way around. No,
That's what we're.
we
looking to
tell
get.
them what we want. basically.
Right, so if they turn and say you're not having that, it's going to be less, then we have to start looking at it slimming down.
We'll bring it back on 31st at the next meeting. So that, and then no one gets a severe shock on the 31st. I will say that the budget is coming in quite a bit higher this year than it was last year. But that is to be expected because last year we kept everything down to a bare minimum, which is part of the problem with these bush shelter windows, etc. We kept it down to a bare minimum because with a lot of the public struggling financially, we kept it as low as we could. And we also got hit with rather large percentage increases on a lot of our expenses this year. One thing being, for example, the business rates went up by quite a chunk, and the charge for the allotments went up by about 300%. So we have been hit hard in quite a few places. So do expect the figures to be quite high, but we'll have to start tweaking it again once we get the papers off Gina. But we'll warn you, it is looking fairly high. Okay. So moving on to item 10, which is extension of the GM6 gardening contract.
Yeah, and me and Leah had a meeting with the current gardening contractor. They obviously have a lot of ideas on what they want to do with the walled garden and different planting schemes, etc. Because it was only a 12-month contract, that doesn't really give them, from the ideas that they've got, obviously they want to put certain things in place that it will kind of look worse before it gets better. I think, I'm not a gardener myself, but I think the things that they're suggesting will ultimately work out, but over a longer period. So because there is an option to extend that contract from 12 months to the 3 years, which would be the same as the other contract that they've got, I would suggest that we extend that contract and give them that opportunity to see it through.
Sure. Taking into what Gina's just said, I do dabble in gardening and that, and I know for the fact that even in a small plot, you do your planting, and you get nothing for the first 6 to 9 months, 12 months, and then you leave, you forget about it, and then it comes good the following year. So extending this contract to 3 years is a no-brainer. I move that we extend the contract to 3 years.
Howard?
Get it clearing me up because we've had several. Is this the same contractor doing the rest of the beds in?
Yes.
Because I think they needed a bit of a shove to get started, and I haven't had the chance to go and have a proper look, but I'm assuming the beds are now free of nettles and things.
They have done a lot of work on some of the beds. Obviously, they were starting with the ones that were nearer to the entrance. Yeah, but we met with them a couple of weeks ago. We were saying, suggested what we wanted for some of them, and asked them to come up with a planting scheme. Obviously, she said, but it all depends on the budget. depending on what you want. And we were going to arrange a visit to a garden centre somewhere, I can't remember, but she uses it all the time, and the guy that's there is very knowledgeable. And so we were going to speak to him and have a look around. What's some good ideas? But
Just that when I was talking to Leah, it's 3-4 weeks ago, maybe a bit longer than that. I think she was beginning to get the mind that they needed a bit of a shove, perhaps. And as I say, I haven't had a chance to go and look at it in any, well, it's been that way.
yes, it's not been the nicest weather, has it?
I think one of the problems with the contract is, and we didn't see it at the time when we did all the other contracts that we've done with them and with everyone else are all 3-year ones. And in particular, gardening thing is something you've got to plan. You can't, look at a park and say, it's got into a fair old state, let's get it all sorted out this year. It can't be done. And they can't really do any forward planning beyond March because their contract runs out in March. So if we extend it, they can not only plan what they're going to do this year up to March, they can, plan what they're going to do in next year and the year after as well. So I think it is like Patricia said, it's a no-brainer not to do it. Brian.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's been moved by Patricia that we accept this. All those in favour? Thank you. Town hall maintenance.
Yeah.
Um,
As we have got the scaffold out in the front at the moment, they have been to assess, and the quote that's come in, it's not official at the moment, but it was on sent via text to Nathan. Initially, we're looking at £1,400 plus VAT. However, when they start, they then uncover. They've got it in mind that there might be something else wrong as well. So, but they can't tell before they start. So no. So they're saying there may be additional costs on top of that, but it's looking like it's going to be below 5,000. So I suggest we just okay and get it done.
It's a pleasant surprise.
Well, it was to
So,
me as well. Yes, I was expecting
And
a lot more.
let's be honest about it. It's 150. No, not quite. The building's not quite 150 years old.
This is just one area.
But, well, yeah, well, and I noticed the other week walking down the slope here, some of the stone there is crumbling. So, I think we've got to expect that we've got to be in it for the long run. A, it's listed. B, it's a historic building, and C, if we let it go to rack and ruin, well, we wouldn't be hung from the clock tower because it had fallen down, but we'd quite rightly be lynched.
These are obviously pairs of sections, and we still need to think about if we want to borrow to replace the roof.
which is part of one of the figures which will be in the budget that's
Yeah,
for the repayments of the loan, which is coming on the 31st. That is part of the thing in there.
the idea was to do that and to upgrade the heating system at the same time.
Which again is also in the budget. We've got to make some serious decisions at the time later on. Are there any more comments on Patricia?
Thank you, Chair. As I was said, this building is near enough 150 years of age. Everyone who lives in Colne or lives around Colne knows of the Colne Town Hall. It's one of the most iconic buildings in the town. We've got to look after it. She's looked after us. We've got to look after her. So if it takes 50,000 to repair the whole building, or even 500,000 to repair the building, she needs it, because otherwise we don't have a home, and the town don't have its icon. It's a no-brainer.
Are we happy to know that report? Yeah.
Oh yeah, the clock is working again, as we said earlier, so that was repaired yesterday. Yes. Although some people wouldn't agree, but I do agree. Actually.
I think
quite like it.
the point to make is the clock has been there dinging and donging for 140 odd years. So people can't say they didn't know about it when they moved it.
It's 127, isn't it? 120, 129, sorry, yes it is. It's 6 plus the 23 plus 100, it's 129.
I will say as well, as part of the update, we are having to spend a little bit of money on the shop fronts of the ones that we've got. It's the wood at the bottom has started to rot away, so you know, the fancy things around the shop fronts. Both Boise's and Marjo's. So we are. It's structural.
No, it's just that I thought when they reopened it,
They didn't renew that bit though. It's just they've just put things on
sorry,
the
where
signs, etc.
are we talking about? Where the
It's down the bottom. I'm not a builder, so I don't know what you call it, but it's like fancy, like modelling down
Right.
both sides.
it's a structural bit that if we don't do something with it, could be difficult.
It's just because it's wooden and it's starting to rot and it needs replacing. Yes. So. That's that. I don't think Steve can think of anything else. Maybe twice. No.
Not on town hall, no. Oh, we're okay with not noting that now then, yeah? Item 12, rental property, number 2, Albert Road. This property's actually been empty for quite a while now. It's not in the best of order. In fact, it's not in any sort of order at all, really. It wants quite a lot of spending on it. It's not fit for purpose, and it's certainly not fit to rent out again as it is. So it needs quite a bit of spending on it. So I'll let Gina try and explain what needs doing to it.
Well, at the moment, the property doesn't have any kind of heating, which we obviously need that. We can't rent it out without any heat. There's various the shop front, the window is taped up in various different places. So that needs replacing. The shop front, the wood again needs completely replacing. We did have problems bringing the quotations through because a lot actually quoted for PVC for the shop frontage. However, obviously because it's in a conservation area, well, we're saying that they have to be wooden surrounds rather than PVC. So that obviously put the prices up as well. There's currently an outside toilet. So we're also trying to extend outwards to include the toilet to make it inside and obviously put more facilities in. Also wash facilities. So yeah, there's bits of taking bits of cupboards out. All the windows, the back windows need replacing. They've basically got branches growing through them. So I mean they are wooden and they're rotten. So they all need replaced as well. We weren't envisaging that it was going to cost quite this much, but again, costs have gone up. No, there's no kitchen, so we need to put a sink. But yeah, it's slightly more than we estimated. But then costs have gone up, so that is what it is.
It's a complete refurb.
It's
I mean, that's what it's looking. That's what it's looking.
it's pretty much
Yeah. It's a complete rebuild, but within the heritage, keeping it within the heritage framework.
Yeah.
Because you're talking about the window frames and the door frames. They're going to have to be. They can't just be any wood. They've got to be the right wood for the heritage unit. It could be maple. It could be. It can't just be ordinary oak or ordinary lime. It's got to be the proper wood to match it because it's within the conservation area.
Yeah.
You've also got to make sure that the new roofing that it's talking about here, they've got to be the right type of slate or tile. And you've got to keep the outward appearance to be within in keeping with the rest of the area. And of course your glass again, you can go into double glazing, but as long as the external glass is again in keeping with the conservation area. So it does that is why, and do not be surprised if this estimate goes at least another 10 to 16 grand.
The 3 quotes have been circulated, haven't they?
Yes.
Yeah, so you do have an ad.
No,
No.
we still haven't got an official one. No.
But
Nathan may have had it, but it's been on.
I'm guessing it's more than the first one because the ballpark figure is coming up with, which doesn't include VAT, is more than the first option. So I'm assuming I'm assuming it'll come in second. And the middle one is out of the running, I think. So it is a lot of money to find to do it, but it's a dead duck to us at the moment because it's not fit for purpose. It's not in a state where we could legally, from environmental reasons and various other reasons, let it out. So we're stuck with it. And currently we're not getting an income from it because it's empty. So if we lost the income, it'd be no loss to us because we're not getting it anyway. So my suggestion would be, and I've discussed it with Gina and Steve, and if we can get the figures to stack up, my suggestion is we take a loan out to do it and use the income from it, from the rental, when we rent it out, to service the loan. Until such time as the loan is paid off, and then that money, the income would then circulate back into the accounts on future years. If I'm making sense to anyone, rather than us have to put the precept up to find another chunk of money to do the work, which is something we don't really want to pass off on to precept payers. And I would suggest we take a loan out for it and service the loan with the income from the rent. Once it's been refurbished, we shouldn't have a problem letting it, and we should be able to get a decent rent for it. That is my suggestion. That's if Steve can get the figures to stack up.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to say. As long as we can rent it out, all right, we can get the income. Did it used to be a flat upstairs?
It's upstairs is our offices. So it's where Pendle Leisure Trust.
I'm just looking at the maps, you see, Google Maps, and there's 2 doors to it, isn't there?
There is 2 doors to it, yeah. So there is where the office is, you go upstairs, from where Eugene's old office was, so there's stairs going through. And then I think there's an office right at the back, and another office, then a main office.
So we're just refurbishing downstairs.
But there is, yeah, it is downstairs, and there's a basement as well, which was used for storage.
When you go into that corner of the building, that's where the safe is, that big safe.
Yeah.
And then there's about 4 steps going up. Once you're up them steps, you're actually upstairs in shop. And there.
You've just mentioned company one as a no-brainer. I'm just looking through here. Where is the extension for the kitchen? Or is that, because I'm looking on here where it's a lift the roof, create new ceiling, new roof. Install door for access and extend toilet room area to include new toilet sink lighting. I'm seeing it, I'm reading that as extend the toilet.
There's currently a kitchen area, which is inside,
Yeah.
and then a side entrance. You go back and there's an outside toilet, which is, it's the same building, but it's outside in its own little block.
Well, just last time when I'm reading there,
So this
I'd
is
expect
to
to see an extension.
extend, no, well, it's changing the existing extension to bring it inside rather than have it as an external toilet.
No, I thought I'd just ask because it's how I'm reading that.
But they
Yeah,
are
my
having
best
to
input, eh?
change the level of the roof because of it, so it's, yeah.
It's that first line up, I think that's the first line where you've got your kitchen.
You just say redecoration of the toilet room and kitchen area. Yeah. But I'm just wondering where when it's mentioned about extending out.
As Gina has said, they're going to do the extension to include bring the toilet in, the kitchen's on the side of.
I think you just asked question.
Well, I think I'm right. I think it will, because it's in a conservation area. But the easiest way is for someone to ring Neil and ask Neil and get the answer. If we do, it's looking like being after Christmas before we could even think of starting the work anyway.
Which gives the advantage of splitting up the 2 foundations. The other thing I was going to ask, whether the grant for shop fronts from Pendle is still in existence.
It is.
Yeah,
And
it might not be next year, so I think we need to get moving with that.
do it now.
Yeah.
And the
So we
bid
were
we're
waiting to
offering,
find out how much it was before we put the application.
but the bid also we're offering money to. Or was that just to?
That was the liquid paint, and I think it was fun,
No,
which. we didn't get it last. Yeah, but it's Mike Williams. But yeah, it is still a thing. I have the form to fill in on my desk. We're just waiting to see what the prices.
Chair, may I suggest that we take up your suggestion as the main option, and try and get moving on this so that we can at least then start recouping some money off this property. Because, as you say, we can, with the initial repayments can go to the initial income can go to repaying the loan, and then we can start clawing back some money to help offset future precepts.
Yeah, I was just mindful that if we did it that way, we wouldn't have to find a lump of money up front to pay for it, and we could do it that way and pay it off with the rental income. Can I suggest then we get Steve to crunch some figures together and see if it is feasible that we can pay it off with the rental income, because we won't be able to get an idea how much rental income we would be able to get for it once it's been refurbished, and then it's, well, I know interest rates are high at the moment, but it's not rocket science to work out what repayments is going to be, is it?
I'll do some number crunching on this. Have any of these companies put a time scale on this work-wise?
These company 2 can't start it till after Christmas. So we may not start it after Christmas.
He's going to obviously
But
give
I think we just said that company 2.
Well, there it goes. 50,000 plus 20%.
So I think
Yeah.
if we decided we're going with company 1.
It's the cheapest.
there's obviously going to be a timing difference between getting the loan and getting a tenant, which may be like 6 months. So we're going to have to fund that till we get
Yeah.
tenant, aren't we?
Yeah.
So,
Yes.
but I'll do the number crunching.
Okay. And can we also ring Neil and just check the facts as to where we stand regarding planning permission, with it being, because particularly if we're altering roof. I know it's at back, but it's still in conservation area, isn't it?
Depends. It's in a good mood.
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
Just got to hope that it is.
yeah. Well, I think it's better to ask the question rather than being,
Somebody-
especially being a council, is to get it wrong and get slated off for it. So I think we ought to ask the question.
So can we get a
Second it, right? Those in favour?
Could I just ask a general question?
Hmm?
Could I just ask a general question? Does the council own a lot of properties be rented out? I mean, that one is rented out because it's underneath part of the council building, I'm assuming.
Yes,
It's part of the council building. But what about the ones down there?
they are classed as part of. the
They're
building.
stick, they're classed as
Yeah.
part.
So there's the 3 micropubs and what Stage Door use, and that's the annex building.
So we're
It is
responsible for the,
actually, it's joined onto the town hall by a bridge.
so we're responsible for the maintenance of those as well.
Yes.
That building used to be the Liberal Club many
Yeah.
years ago,
Yeah.
many years ago. More in memory, that was where the planning department was. Well, I'm guessing from 76 till housing, well. It was you're not been in it, it's hard to describe.
Yeah, we don't own many properties with this building, with the shop next door, with the 3 pubs down there,
It's not a property.
and manor properties, and the building above where Stage Door is, and we've got the community centre down at Plymouth Bridge, and that's the
Next to it's fine.
subtotal of the actual buildings that we own. Item 13, items for a future month's agenda. Well, budget's one.
else?
Maintenance wise, I suppose will be whatever falls off something, won't it?
That's why general maintenance is there.
Well, yeah, it's there every month.
It's there, it's a standing item.
So moving on then, the date and time of the next regular meeting is now the 31st of October. Which is where it's where it is on actually the calendar that's online. It's actually showing it it's 31st of October on there anyway. So can we now move that we remove the public from the meeting because of the nature of the last two private items which are confidential?